Are you trying to make your way through life on like logically what makes sense and you're following a certain structure or a certain path, yet it's making you miserable? It's impacting you. You're not feeling your real you, and it's impacting your confidence. Well, certainly been there. And today we're going to talk about this and how you can enjoy life a lot more through some tips I'm going to share. And if you stay until the end, I've got an extra special point for you then. Now, in my life, and actually even reflecting on the last couple of years, well, the last few years really, I've had in my career like certain paths or ideas to follow. Logically, it makes sense. Get this job, get the pension, get the house, all these kind of things, right? Follow this path, and that's going to make me happy, right? But it did not necessarily. I've had that in dating. Like this would be a great girl to like be with, but there instinctively something fell off from maybe both side or one side, and it didn't work out. And some people logically do that, continue even though it doesn't feel right, just because they got the fear of being alone, right? And I've certainly been there, experienced the fear of being alone. Or maybe in exercise, right? I've had a structure. So it can apply to all areas of life. Maybe in exercise, that it's like, okay, right, I'm going to follow this program because this guy's absolutely jacked. He's absolutely in the best shape of his life. He's absolutely ripped. I never use the word jacked, but that's another way for describing someone who's ripped and really toned and in big shape. And yeah, and then it's like, no, it doesn't resonate with me. When I've tried to follow it, it just didn't feel off. My energy's gone. And I've even had this in personal growth, right? I've like followed someone for a certain period and I felt good and I love going to events, listening to them. And then I'm like, right, I've got to listen to their book, and then their book, audio book, or go to their program or kind of do this course or whatever. And like, it just didn't feel right. Now, of course, in life, there's got to be certain things you don't want to do that you sometimes have to do, right? Yeah, if you're always trying to follow by logic on what you should do and actually don't listen to the instinct, what feels good for you, I find it's very energy draining and exhausting. And we live in a society which tells us logically what we should be doing. Like, you should be married and have kids by this age. You should have a massive pension fund. You should have massive savings pot and all these kind of things. I'm not saying any of this is right or wrong, by the way. It's completely what you feel into. Now, logic does come into it, of course, right? You can't just go, I'm going to quit my job. I've got zero savings. I've got no idea on what I'm going to start a business, right? Okay, even though instinctively you don't enjoy your job, right? Yeah, there's got to be some element of logic. Yeah, what I found is when I'm constantly following logic instruction, I've discussed this even recently with my somatic coach. And what somatics does is feels into your body, goes more into balances, different energies that you've got, rather than just trying to be so structured. And the thing he's always picked out of me is catching me out for being too structured, thinking things should be a certain way. Because guess what? Life isn't just a structure, it's flow, it's not a straight line. And therefore, we can have structure to support our days and our direction, absolutely. Yet we've got to understand there's bits of flow that are going to come in, things that are going to come in that aren't expected. And ask yourself this: if you're just trying to logically justify everything and follow a certain way all the time and it doesn't feel right, how happy does that make you? Because if you're anything like me, it can make me feel miserable. So I want to go through a few practical points and keep it really short for this because I've already really shared my message behind this, I believe. And again, if you listen to me and think, no, I don't resonate with this guy, great, fantastic. Absolutely feel into what you do feels great. Yeah. If you do resonate with things I say, and I'm so glad to get the feedback from so many people just to say like, oh, I really heard your message. It made sense. I've been trying this. That's great as well. Okay. So here are a few points that I've found particularly useful to maybe navigate life where it's not so energy draining and logic focused all the time or so structured, but a little bit more in flow and a little bit more enjoyable at times when I've done this. And I have to catch myself out even now, right? So the first one is know what you want and really why do you want it? Not like I want this big car and this big house. And it's like that might be just society or something you saw on social media saying, oh, this looks good. All the women or all the men will want you if you've got this, or you'll look great, you'll be a big influencer. That might just be something you've been programmed into. Really know what you want from a heartfelt basis. Like, what did you want when you were a kid? That's always a good starting point. And why do you want it? Why do you want it? And that's what's really important. The next one to really focus is when you're looking for a guide, which I already suggest, is listen to other people's stories and see what you resonate with the most. And also be okay with it changing. Because there's some people I've listened to in the past, and you've probably heard me speak before about Tony Robbins. And the guy is amazing and he's incredible. Where I'm in my life right now, I don't listen to him as much because it's really good for getting you going, getting you feeling good, all those kind of stuff. But as I go deeper and deeper and more spiritual and dive into who I really am at the core, I've actually found people I resonate more with, and that comes a lot from their stories. So be okay on this. The second point is really say, be okay that you may resonate with someone at one point in your life and then someone differently, right? And yeah, that's okay. But just listen to their story and see what feels good for you when you're following someone. And then the third one is just sit down with yourself and try and you can meditate on it, you can sit in silence, but just see what comes up. Because the logical, analytical mind's going to say, oh, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. But get to a point and you can actually listen to some wisdom inside of yourself. And that's going to tell you from a more heartfelt basis, a more instinctive way, what you want to do. Now, it might not be the first time. And if you're sitting in a room, you've got TV on, you've got your phone by you, it's not going to work. Very likely. I'd be surprised if it did, because you'd be like, distraction, what's on my phone, what's on the TV? Just find somewhere quiet and sit with yourself. And it might take a bit of a practice, maybe even 5 minutes a day. Try that for a week. Because I start small and I always build up. And that's what I've done with that as well, to be able to listen. What I like to do is just walk in nature without my phone on airplane mode. Okay, and the final point, bonus point I really want to share is, like, yeah, go with your instincts and use bits of logic, but be okay to the fact you're going to make mistakes and learn lessons. Like one of my coaches says, there's no failure, there's only feedback, right? I'm not saying go out and do something really stupid. Of course not, right? What I'm saying is it's really important that actually you realize one thing I realized is one of the biggest mistakes I could make was no action, because no action just brings about the same results that you're getting. So don't be worried that you're going to make mistakes, because that's part of life. Now, obviously, be logical about it and feel what's good. Take a combination of that, but don't expect things to be perfect. That's the final point I really wanted to share. So I appreciate you for being here. That's what I've got for you today. You're improving other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you're in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.